I'm joined now by Wendy Chamerblain, the Liberal Democrat MP for North East Fife and the Lib Dem's Chief Whip and spokesperson for work and pensions. She's at the Spring Conference, which I believe is in York. Tell us about the Spring Conference, Wendy. What's going to be the main announcement there from the Lib Dems?
Well, Ed Davey is appearing this afternoon to give his keynote speech, and he's talking specifically about the NHS and social care, which, as you'll know from viewers, and certainly what I hear on the doorsteps, is a key concern for voters as we approach the general election.
Is more spending for the NHS and indeed a social care plan one of the Lib Dem priorities, do you think, come this next general election?
Well, we certainly want to see more spending in the NHS, but what we want to see is a real focus on social care. And indeed, what Ed Davey is calling for is some cross-party work on that, because regardless of the colour of the government that comes into power after the next election, social care is increasingly becoming a crisis for the NHS. I've done a lot of work, Camilla, on unpaid carers, and the whole system would fall down without them. I passed a private member's bill last session on that. So we need to really start focusing on this as an issue, because people don't think about it until it starts to affect them.
When you talk about cross-party collaboration there, Wendy, do you think that it's too political? Do you think that the NHS and indeed the issue of social care should be taken out of politics altogether?
Well, I think there's no doubt that our politics has become increasingly divisive. I was elected in 2019, and there's no doubt that since Brexit it has become more difficult to find consensus. And in some ways, Westminster is set up to produce conflict. But on some of these key issues, I think people expect politicians to be the grown-ups in the room and really tackle some of the challenges. Now, it's over to Keir Starmer and Rishi Sunak whether they take up that offer to discuss from Ed. But I certainly know that he's coming to the table genuinely on that, because it's something that he cares very passionately about.
How are the Liberal Democrats doing at the moment? I mean, you could argue that you're perhaps getting squeezed out of the political debate a bit, not only because of the arguments that are going on between the Tories and Labour, as is ever the case as the two main parties, but also because of reform bringing up the rear.
Well, I'm obviously a Scottish MP, Camilla, so I'll be looking to the SNP as well. But in terms of reform, yes, we're seeing an increase in support for them in the polls. But as we found out painfully in 2019, it's not about the number of votes you get. We increased our vote share by a number of percent and over 1 million votes in 2019, but delivered 11 MPs. We're really focused on delivering the highest number of MPs that we can. And I think the challenge for reform is, can they actually deliver any MPs? I think they're going to cause real difficulty for the Conservatives, but I don't think they're actually going to deliver any MPs at the end of the day. That's what first past the post as a system does.
Indeed. Although, would you support scrapping first past the post? I suppose Liberal Democrats might find agreement with Nigel Farage on that one issue, Wendy.
Yeah, absolutely. Make Votes Matter has a good systems agreement on electoral reform, which both Reform and the Liberal Democrats are signed up to. If you want to see better consensus across politics, you need to make politicians work together, and electoral reform would help you to do that.
I noted yesterday that the Reform Party announced a sort of alliance with some partners in Northern Ireland, and inevitably the question is going to come as to whether the Liberal Democrats, if you do manage, as you've there pledged, to increase your vote share, might be in a position to prop up a Starmer government. Is a deal with Labour something that you'd like to consider?
I mean, Camilla, I'm not going to talk about what comes afterwards. I'm going to talk about being focused on being the third party back at Westminster and delivering as many Liberal Democrat MPs as possible. From a Northern Ireland perspective, Alliance already are our sister party, so we work closely with Stephen Farry in the House of Commons now.
Fair enough. Final question for you, Wendy. Now, I know you've been on my show before, and I'm delighted to have you as ever. Why won't Sir Ed Davey come on GB News? Is he missing a trick here, do you think?
Well, I think we always will take the opportunities to appear where we can. I think we'll just need to keep asking the press team, but I'm delighted to be here. I was here in the autumn and I'm back here again.
All right. Well, look, good luck at the Lib Dem Spring Conference in York today, and thank you very much indeed for your time this morning.